news articles all about it in his area. It happened. Now, honestly, what happens is just insane. Now, so I asked him, since now you know it's the truth, are you outraged? He hasn't taken the time to respond to me yet. It seems like he may have shied away from this topic. I would be a reporter if I ignored some more that I am finding. He's not exactly the nicest guy, okay? He does have a bit of a history of making some threats. Once to his sister and once to a pair of 8th graders. In 2006, 7 years ago, the police did respond to an incident where a neighbor reported that he bit her son on the arm during a fight. But it was a fight. And in September 2012, another student severely beat this kid who posted these rap lyrics. D'Ambrosio, his name. Ruptured his spleen and put him in the hospital over a Facebook post that D'Ambrosio made about that student's girlfriend. Once again, free speech, unless it's libel or slander. And at a May 9th, 2013 hearing, the judge called D'Ambrosio a threat to the community and ordered him held without bail for up to 90 days. You want to punish him for that alleged biting incident? Fine. That's not the issue at hand. So once again, using that as an argument for justifying him being locked up. Once again, cop out. You lose. Now, reports also say that he was once arrested in June 2012 after a fight over $20 with his older sister, who called the police after she locked herself in her room. That's another crime in itself. He threatened to stab her. He didn't, but he threatened to. So he also has a history of making threats and not backing them up. Okay. So you want to send him to anger management? Okay, fine. For those other incidents. This is a completely different issue. But the media is basically trying to suggest that he is automatically a threat because he doesn't have the cleanest, highest charactered history. Once again, a cop-out. This all just disgusts me. I'll be happy to provide updates as the story goes on. Hopefully, happy updates. But now I have one more story, the one that really caused me to go over the edge and inspired me to go on the air tonight, about a high school teacher who's facing discipline over informing students about their constitutional rights. How many of you remember taking a survey when you were in high school that asked you about your drug or alcohol usage? I remember having to take one when I was a sophomore in high school and when I was a senior in high school. And you know what they were? They were kept anonymous, so as people could not incriminate themselves. I would joke that I did heroin 10 or more times in the last month, just to be an ass, to skew the statistics, just because I thought it was stupid and annoying. And had I answered honestly, I would have felt like a goody-goody. But this social studies teacher, 10 minutes before class began, picked up the survey forms from his mailbox and noticed that the students' names were already written on them. He was to pass out these surveys to students with their names already written on them. And these surveys were going to ask them about drinking and drug use, all of which is illegal for high school students. Interestingly enough, there is also a police officer who is stationed at that school. So, what this teacher saw was a survey that could have easily incriminated the likes of many students. And being the good American he is, a social studies teacher who had just finished teaching his students about the Bill of Rights, doing his job. They still technically teach us this stuff in school. They don't necessarily always apply it. But you can always trust a good social studies teacher to remind students about their rights. And, just for the students who didn't remember the significance of the Fifth Amendment, he told the students, remember, you have a right to remain silent on this. You do not have to tell the people of the school about your drug use, about your alcohol use. You do not have to incriminate yourself, potentially. Would the students have automatically been arrested for admitting that? Maybe, maybe not. Honestly, I wouldn't put it past them with the amount of faith that I have in our society right now. For all we know, maybe they would have admitted it to themselves, and maybe they just would have sought counseling. And even that seems a little, little fishy to me. Perhaps this would constitute, drug searches, and the students who admitted to the use of alcohol or drugs, then maybe the cops show up and start searching their cars. Bring a sniffing drug dog to sniff in the parking lot. Obviously, I think you're stupid if you bring drugs to school. But still, if you're only getting searched because you admitted to drug usage on a survey, some of these kids gotta be reminded about their constitutional rights. And thankfully, one teacher at this school did that. But now, he is potentially facing discipline for simply informing these students about their rights. So, the school board will consider, there's a hearing tomorrow. They will consider whether or not to punish him and how to punish him for this. According to the Batavia Daily, which is the local newspaper in the town that he teaches in, they reported that Dryden faces having a letter of remedy placed in his employment file, which could have consequences up to dismissal. So, remind the students of the rights that they have, which is also something that you cover in social studies. Well, now you're just in trouble. You didn't go along with our plan of taking advantage of young minds who might not necessarily know the Bill of Rights and incriminating themselves and get their lives ruined and their criminal records ruined over victimless crimes. I mean, we're not even... I'm allowed to... If I wanted to, I could go sign up right now and go overseas and die for this country over oil and this agenda to dominate the Middle East if I wanted to. I could do that. But I can't legally drink alcohol. And no one in this country, unless they have a medical card, and even then the federal government still doesn't allow it, can smoke a joint. I'm finding articles now about how people who smoke marijuana are less likely to get diabetes because it does a good job regulating insulin, blood sugar, stuff like that. Just another benefit, potentially. Won't matter. But you still have some freedoms in this country. You're free to say whatever you want, so long as it doesn't offend anybody, so long as it's politically correct, so long as it fits the agenda of the corporate mainstream media and the people who sponsor their shows. Sometimes I ask myself why I'm even going into this damn field. Eventually, if I make it anywhere, I'm going to face some kind of ethical dilemma, like every day, where I'm just going to have to go along with this bullshit. I'm going to get fired so many times on the street. And it just makes me sick. Is this what our founding fathers fought for? When they fought a war, they actually were fighting for our freedoms. They were fighting from an oppressive government overseas. But nowadays, that's not what we're fighting for at all. So while it is accurate that some of the people we're honoring on Memorial Day were actually giving their lives for freedom, I'm afraid to say, and this is my opinion, and I want to be clear, I do not have a personal vendetta against those who enlist. Somebody's got to do it. Otherwise, we'd have a draft. And when real danger strikes, I love those who are willing to step up and fight for us. But I'm afraid that thousands of people who are getting honored, and deservedly so for getting honored, but I'm afraid that many of them have died in vain. And you will not be able to convince me otherwise. And it's sad. And just one more quick little thought. Tom Coburn, a senator in Oklahoma, isn't even voting to give federal aid to his state over the tornadoes. Private industry. Nike's donating all of the proceeds from Kevin Durant's shoes. Kevin Durant's donating $1 million. The NBA Players Association, another $1 million. Along with other donations. Private industry is doing more to help the victims. The American Red Cross are doing more to help these people than our federal government. Because Oklahoma's own elected senator is saying, unless you can come up with more spending cuts federally that have nothing to do with this disaster, I'm not voting for federal aid for my own state. That's your leader, Oklahoma. You've reelected him time and time again. Fiscal conservatism at its most extreme. And I bet he believes in God, too. And I'm sure that's exactly something that Jesus totally would be happy about. Oh yeah, don't help the poor, people who lost their house. I bet if Senator Coburn's house got destroyed, it'd be a totally different ballgame. I just had to throw that in there because there are 2 more minutes. What a prick. Honestly. Now, it wouldn't be a complete show without me doing a little bit of Yahoo Answers. So coming up, just for 1.5 hour segment, but then I gotta go to bed. I got paid work to go to tomorrow. I don't have to sell my soul to do it. I'm just a cashier at Meijer. I like Meijer. Beats the hell out of Walmart. Tomorrow I gotta go finish cashier training. Gotta get up at like 7 in the morning to do so. But I had to get this off my chest. But I'm going to do 1.5 hour of the segment, Shut Up, Nobody Asked You. And then I'm off to bed. So, stick around. And coming up, I'm going to do that.